Every month you are shipping hundreds. Oh, sorry about that little microphone. You okay? Every month you may be shipping hundreds, if not thousands of subscription boxes internationally. And sometimes you may be getting a great rate, but it may not be the best. How are we going to figure that out? We talked to our friends at Asendia. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome back to SUBTA Studios. I'm here with Nick Agnetti from Asendia, who's going to be telling us a bit more about international shipping. Nick, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Paul.
So what has changed in the last few years that might be affecting some of those customers that are already shipping internationally?
What I think most people in logistics and fulfillment and things like that experienced was probably somewhat of a benchmark year, because we had more people not shopping retail, more people pushing volume through e-commerce. And so everybody was hitting really significant volumes in 2020, right? What we found in 2021 is, okay, here comes a new year. It's going to be a better year. Maybe the virus is going to go away, et cetera. And then all of a sudden, January 1st, the UK government says, hey, we're going to be transitioning to where we want to collect tax from every merchant that's selling product from the US into the UK, as long as the value of the goods is under 150 British pounds. So that's $173 US, right? So think about your average. So, focus on subscription boxes, not just e-commerce products, but how many of you out there that are watching this have boxes that are valued at more than 173 US dollars, right? And we also know that currency conversion, we know that those figures do change occasionally. Yeah. There's a little bit of a sliding scale here, but we can relatively say, I think for the most part, anything under 170 US, what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to register with Her Majesty's Royal Customs, and then you're supposed to remit those funds, collect them at the time of sale, and remit those on a quarterly basis. That's what the UK government put into place January 1st of 2021. There hasn't been a whole lot of policing as far as we can tell in terms of, I haven't had any clients reach out and say that they've gotten notification that they owe back taxes or anything like that. But that is what's in place today. And then July happened, and the EU, because the UK is now separate from the EU, what they've done is they've said, hey, you can still ship packages in via a duties unpaid method, which I know we haven't discussed yet. So we're going to cover that after, because I don't want to confuse anybody right now. If you want to ship a duties prepaid shipment, you have to be IOSS registered, and you have to use an EU registered business, a tax intermediary, to actually complete this registration and then remit those funds on a quarterly basis using that organization. And I have seen some clients' volume dip a little bit, more specifically related to the EU. And then of course, what happened with the late summer into the fall with Australia and New Zealand, which has nothing to do with regulation, it's COVID related, is that the country went into a really conservative lockdown that included, the USPS shut off service to Australia and New Zealand. I think it was in September. And one of the things I want to try and keep my focus on for this call is knowing that a lot of box companies, shipping is, it's an e-commerce company, shipping is a number 2 expense for the most part. And many boxes too, you're looking at, many don't run on high margins. So every bit counts for the most part. When you're looking at, is somebody going to ship Priority Mail Express International? Probably not. You know what I mean? Especially if you're talking about a shirt of the month or sock of the month, or even something like Gentleman's Box. You know what I mean? I would never have said, hey, you should be shipping Priority Mail Express International into, that service. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be something that I proposed. So yes, there have been plenty of changes in 2021. I think that also just speaks to why it's really important to have a partner, to have an expert on your side that maintains this type of information and keeps up on it to make sure that everybody is staying in the positive and staying in the know when it comes to these changes.
So let's come back to what you mentioned. You want to talk about the duties. Was it duties prepaid?
Yeah. So duties unpaid, duties prepaid. So for let's say a startup out there, I think it's really important to understand that for the most part, if you, let's say, ship a first class package into Canada, that's a duties unpaid package. You're not designating that you've prepaid or collected at the time of sale the applicable duties and taxes associated with that package. Now, a duties prepaid, right, or a DDP shipment, that's where you've designated, hey, I want the carrier to prepay those charges on my behalf, bill them back to me, et cetera. So that way, when the customer gets it at the door, they're not getting a knock at the door asking for additional funds, whether it's, taxes or things like that. It's just all clear. It's going to be delivered, completely paid out. And that's basically the biggest difference between the two.
So duties unpaid, somebody's purchasing from me, they're not paying the duties, but when somebody shows up at their doorstep with my subscription box, they're going to pay for it then. Duties prepaid, I'm collecting that as the subscription box company. then I'm going to remit that back to the country, Canada in this case, let's say.
Yeah, and so that has always been historically a challenge with subscription boxes too, is doing DDP, duties prepaid, because for the most part, you aren't going to have the same product month over month unless it's just more of a like a subscribe and save type of situation. If you have this same product consistently being sent out month over month, like something like probably like a Smile Direct Club, well, then you're going to know what that HS code is, and you could easily set up a DDP shipping model doing that. I think the market is typically moving more towards a DDP model because it's a much better customer experience where you're prepaying the duties and taxes on your client's behalf. And that way, then when they get the delivery, it's just the delivery. There's no expectation potentially of having to pay additional duty or taxes at the time of delivery. They're just getting their box, enjoying that experience, etc. But with a sub box, again, especially if you are kitting different products every month or quarter, that can be very challenging.
So the duties prepaid part, if I wanted to do that, is that something you guys help with and help sort that out?
Yes, definitely. Right now, I mean, the reality is this is when it comes to, let's say, the UK or EU, you can't really do DDP unless you're IOSS registered, right? But the UK, it's one of those things where you're already mandated to prepay the tax. So it's not really a thing anymore, but Canada for sure. There's hard-coded routings for DDP into Canada.
So Nick, we explored a ton of amazing things here today. We talked about as a startup, how to start getting into international shipping, how to approach it and things to think about and consider in that. If I'm a mid-range company where I'm already doing international shipping, when does it make sense to start to evaluate that, going through that discovery call with you, sitting down and evaluating what they're currently doing and finding ways maybe there are some savings in there. And I love the fact that you're honest, like, hey, may not be a good fit at this time, and let's just be friends and keep in touch for the future. Is there anything else that you think is important for our audience to know and consider in there?
One, I think it's really important for everybody to know every year there's going to be rate changes. For the most part, courier rate changes, meaning, UPS, FedEx, DHL Express, those typically go into play at the end of December. And then postal typically gets done, Canada Post, USPS, et cetera, is going to be early. It's going to be throughout the month of January. And so that's something to just keep in mind, especially if you're currently shipping internationally. And if you aren't shipping internationally, if you have questions, please, feel free to contact me, reach out to me, like phone, email, whatever. I am very open to conversations, but I'm also open to stating, hey, I don't think it's a good fit at this time, or it's probably a very good fit. Let's set up a little bit of a deeper call to dive in a little more and see what we could do.
Well, Nick, you're a wealth of knowledge, an amazing human being. Truly appreciate you spending some time here today and sharing all that with everybody here in our community.
And right back at you guys are doing a great job over there. Thank you so much for having me on.
Cool. And thanks everybody for tuning in today.